There is a certain irony in Croatia joining the EU just as the Union is facing a crisis of identity, and debate is raging in Britain on whether to leave. But just think where this place was 20 years ago and how far it's come. They're going into this with their eyes open, knowing that the streets of the Union aren't paved with gold. Chris Morris, BBC News, Split.
One of Australia's best-known Aboriginal musicians has died at the age of 56. Mandawoi Yunupingu had been fighting renal disease and passed away at his home in the Northern Territory. Here's a bit of his music. I should warn you, Indigenous viewers, this video does contain obviously images of deceased people.
All those talking politicians.
Well, Farhana Dawood is here to tell us more about the significance of his life to Australians. And he really was significant, wasn't he?
Absolutely. He was seen as a great bridge builder between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal Australians. His band, Yothu Yindi, was huge. They took Aboriginal Indigenous music across the globe. They toured Europe, they toured Canada, they toured the United States. They performed with such great artists like Neil Young. They played at the closing ceremony in the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games. Now, the man himself, he won the Australian of the Year award in 1992, in part for his work in bridging that gap between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal Australians. He was all about bridge building, and that's why his loss is so greatly felt across the whole of Australia. He was also a truly unique individual. He was the first Indigenous person from Arnhem Land, which is in far remote northern Australia, to actually receive a university degree. He also went on to become the country's first Aboriginal school principal. And he stayed at that job until he left to pursue music full-time in the early 90s.
I must ask, 56, it seems very young.
Well, it does seem young when you think about the life expectancy across Australia. However, if you think about Indigenous Australians, that unfortunately is quite a good innings. Indigenous Australians have in general about 17 years shorter life expectancy than other Australians. They generally do die of kidney and heart disease and respiratory issues. So the age of 56 is quite good.
And we must apologise to some of our Indigenous viewers because we did show images of deceased people which can be seen as offensive to Indigenous viewers, but there are lots of cultural sensitivities that we need to be mindful of, even just when it comes to talking about this gentleman's name.
Indeed,
or mentioning his name.
Indeed. That's because Indigenous Australians believe that the spirit is still present in the name of the deceased or in the image of the deceased. So indeed, it was very good that we gave that warning to our viewers.
OK, Farhana, thanks very much. Thanks for bringing us up to date, giving us some background as well.